So, first, obvious and very easy question. What is sustainable aviation for you?
Well, it is clear and obvious that aviation needs to keep seeking solutions to minimize environmental and societal impact. And I'd like to stress on the keep because these last few years we've seen and heard a lot of aviation bashing, and we tend to forget all the efforts and the progress that has been made. When I talk with some former Air France captain, telling me that they used to load about 100 tons of jet fuel to do a flight from Paris to the Caribbean, and now we're down to 55, 60 tons. I mean, that's a substantial improvement. We're not talking about 2-3% margin. That's huge. And we have brand new aircraft today, like the Airbus 350. When you do the ratio and get the amount of liter per passenger per kilometers, that's the equivalent of a car, basically. So yes, we clearly need to keep going that way and improve with technology what is possible.
In your part of the world, what are biggest challenges you're facing right now?
Well, to be honest with you, Tatiana, we sustainability aviation is not on the top of my list of challenges right now, simply because technology is not available. We are struggling with many other things, other challenges such as staffing, finding personnel, especially maintenance technicians. That's real everyday challenges. We're not facing, like in Europe, groups and environmentalists and actions like that. But yes, we're struggling to do aviation in a area that looks wonderful at first time, but has many other challenges being isolated.
So, when you're telling that technology is not available there, it means that you're following the development of different technologies because, everyone is trying to come up with a genius idea that will be a solution. This one will be a solution. But in your opinion, what would be the realistic one? It could be the first implemented in daily operations because dreaming it's one, but we're facing daily operations when we need to see what we can implement and what we can use here and now.
Absolutely. Well, of course, we've been following everything that is, most of the projects that are going on. And you can see different paths. There's one, hybrid technologies, which is either hybrid fuel and electric or hydrogen and electric. He has this full electric project also. I don't think fully electric will be as fast as possible. For me, the most advanced project right now is the hybrid version. Yes.
Do you think that small air taxis, which we're supposed to have for Paris Olympic Games, would be a solution for Caribbeans?
That project clearly is what we call urban air mobility. And it's interesting that we've seen a shift in that terminology. We used to talk a lot about urban air mobility. Now we talk a lot about advanced air mobility because it's clearly more than just a big city issues. I'm very curious about how this will turn out in Paris because for me, there's not only the technology about the aircraft itself needs to be there, but all the infrastructure around it. How do you organize the transit in terms of airspace? How do you organize the all the supports that needs on the ground, maintenance, handling, and all that goes around a flight, basically. So it will be a very interesting. I haven't had many information or details about how it's really being implemented. I've heard of it, but I'm very curious of how it's going to turn out.
I hope we will see, because we missed the first demo flight due to issues with trains in France, so I didn't see that myself. I've talked to some industry professionals, and some of them are telling that Caribbean would be a brilliant region to test new technologies, because it's the region, the most depending region on air connectivity. So they think that it would be easier to implement new technologies and new rules in the region. Do you agree with them?
I can understand why they feel that way, because, yeah, as I just mentioned, the first ideas of these new eVTOLs were mainly to bring people between the building of cities to more outside destination. And they realized that maybe trying this new technology would be better in other more remote sites. And there's definitely a need for connection in the Caribbean and between the islands. We cannot take the subway to go to St. Martin or St. Kitts. So we do need this new technology and way of moving people around. Now, is it easy to implement in the Caribbean? I don't know, because you have to keep in mind of the diversity of the different islands and their different nationality. If you take simply the Lesser Antilles, between the Punta Cana, which is in Dominican Republic, all the way to St. Lucia, that's roughly a little more than 500 nautical miles. So that's basically about the same distance between Brest and Strasbourg. Yet, in that area of the Caribbean, you have US territories, you have islands from the Netherlands, you have French island, and you have former British colonies that have different level of independence. Some of them actually are under an authority that is called ECA, Eastern Caribbean CAA, and others that are under ISSC. So when you're an operator in that area like us, you're talking to at least 5 different national aviation authorities. So that's a real struggle for just the regulatory aspect. Keep in mind that some of these islands still do not recognize the single-engine INC operation, and it is something that is from ICAO Annex 6. It's not like a derogation or some sort of trial. It's within ICAO regulation. Also, keep in mind that even some islands in the Caribbean still don't have jet fuel available. So you need, first of all, you do need some sort of regulatory conformity. Then you need the political leadership and desire to implement all this. And then you have obvious infrastructure challenges. I've heard a lot about SAF, sustainable aviation fuel, but it does require a lot of infrastructure, just like hydrogen. So how would you implement all this in the Caribbean? That's a big question. So that whole idea needs to be a holistic approach. You have to attack it with not only having the brand new aircraft that is capable, but you need the infrastructure, you need all that goes around it to make it work.
My last question I had would be very much related to what you just told. What would be real help here and now? What do you need? Do you need to come together with regulators? Do you need to be in touch with political decision makers? The point is how and what we can do to make the process smoother and more related to everyday operation life of aviation professionals.
I think we have to go by step issue. First, the technology needs to be there, and there are some progress being done. I mean, some of these new operators are aiming at 2024, 2025 having aircraft available. But I'm talking mainly of the hybrid version. If you go into more sophisticated techniques, then yes, you do clearly need to have the regulators come together and harmonize some of this. You need a political goal that is set and that is followed by everyone to move toward this. And not everyone has the same political agenda, so that's clearly something that needs to be addressed. And there's been some steps toward that way. As you know very well, Caribavia has been going on for a while, and it's a wonderful opportunity for having people coming together and talk together. But we need to do more of this. It needs to be have a real roadmap of how we can set up a system that would work in the Caribbean to address these challenges.
Because we declare that Europe has a goal and a vision to become carbon neutral continent very soon. But I have a simple question. If only Europe is going carbon neutral, how it will change the global carbon emission if we are the only one and no one is following the same?
And that's a very valid point. I totally agree with you. I mean, are we trying to solve the problem globally or just give ourselves a good conscience? I mean, yes, it's great if we can be carbon neutral, but what about the other countries? And especially in a globalized and economy and market like aviation. That's aside from this aspect, that's one of the main challenges that we had also. We are facing competitors that are having other regulations, and if I apply to myself some regulation, okay, well, but this is giving my competitors a competitive advantage. So it needs to be addressed globally, and that's a very valid point. In many developing countries, of course, they have also other challenges, but they're also being responsible for a big part of the emissions. So it needs to be a global solution.
We will hope that we screening and telling what issues the industry is facing, we will bring a small part to the building something good. Thank you very much. And I hope we will see you again back in St Bart's for Caribavia next June.
It will be a pleasure. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.